Hello everyone, this is Ben from Semantee AI, and in today's little demo video, we're going to show you how to leverage artificial intelligence when you're working with a psychodiagnostic methodology. In this case, we're going to work with the 4Elements inventory methodology, which is a personality profile inventory developed by the Czech company QED Group. And it's a very intuitive tool which allows you to essentially assign character traits to one of the 4 elements, which is something that most people intuitively understand very well. But still, in order to work with this methodology effectively, you should study its entire manual. You should understand exactly how to interpret it, how each of the individual elements correspond to each other. And this is something that not everybody can do or has the time to do. So we're going to show you how to leverage artificial intelligence to make working with this diagnostic tool significantly easier. So the employee or the user will fill out a roughly 20-minute questionnaire with all kinds of situations, questions regarding their preferences, their character, and so on. And then you will get a rather lengthy manual about what those questions actually imply about their character and how that fits into one of the 4 elements. And so here's what that report would look like. It's a lot of densely packed information about what the answers imply in terms of how that person's personality corresponds to the individual elements, what that means in terms of communication, motivation, what the strengths and weaknesses are, how to improve, how to work with them, and so on and so forth. It basically means you have to read through the manual and you have to kind of read through these results to truly understand how to interpret them. So why don't we use artificial intelligence to make our lives a little bit easier? Let's take these percentile scores and input them into our system and ask the first question. In this case, what may be this person's typical weaknesses and how should I work on them? Mind you, obviously in a production setting, we would already have these results and we can just keep chatting. But here I've input them and let's see what the system gives us. Now the first thing it does, it's kind of summarizing what Jane's strengths and weaknesses are based on those percentile scores. So it tells us that the Earth characteristics may mean that she's very meticulous and thorough, that she focuses on facts and preventing risks, which is very good to have. And the lower water score, on the other hand, might imply that she's not that emotionally expressive and maybe she's not that likely to engage with others' feelings and so on. So this may hinder her collaboration. So it gives us kind of these typical weaknesses. So in summary, to help Jane work on these areas, it's recommended that we encourage her to engage in professional development focused on adaptability and innovation. So you might want to put her in some kind of innovation workshops and so on. She could also be paired with other people to enhance her emotional intelligence. She may be paired with colleagues that are specifically geared towards taking out some of the weaknesses of her character. So there's a lot of different pragmatic steps that the system suggests that we can take. Let's ask another question. What may be our reservation in having Jane work in a team with people with high fire scores? So you can ask these hypothetical scenarios. Again, in a production setting, we would also have the results of her other team members, so we can ask more specific questions. But here, what the system will tell us that, okay, Jane has a very strong earth element. So she actually may have some challenges working with fire score or individuals with the high fire scores because those typically tend to be bold, persuasive leaders and so on. And they tend to adopt a very confrontational style, which is not particularly suitable for earth people. So Jane has this strong earth element and she prefers a more slower paced, more persistent environment. She tends to resist change, prefers established practices over innovations and so on. So in order to balance these dynamics, it is suggested that we need to pay attention to the potential conflicts and harmonize the strong drive of those fire individuals with the more risk-averse, more methodological approach of Jane, or generally people with a high earth score. So we get some practical advice here as well. Now, what would happen if we, for example, strayed away from the topic at hand and we asked the system a totally random question? So let's say, what's the score of the Bayern-Munich match? This is a question we get very often because people understand that AI hallucinates, but here we've essentially set the context and programmed the system to only stick with the 4-element inventory discussion. So if you ask it a question which is totally random, it will see, okay, I see you're changing gears, but let's just stick to this particular topic at hand. So as you can see, you can use artificial intelligence very efficiently to help you understand this methodology. Mind you, obviously, you can use any personality test that you like with the system. So we've used Hexaco, you can also use MBTI, you can use Gallup. It doesn't matter. As long as it's a very well-researched, well-documented methodology, you can use this system to help you navigate through it, help your recruiters, HRBPs, talent acquisition specialists, whatever the use case may be, to ask targeted hypothetical questions, help them come up with good questions to ask the candidate, or in terms of internal HR people, help understand why people may not be getting along, help understand what weaknesses to improve upon and how. If you'd like a more in-depth demo, please feel free to get in touch with us. We'll be happy to have a call or meet in person to help you leverage AI in your HR-related matters. Thank you very much for paying attention, and get in touch if you're interested.